The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. It's time for Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling. We'll talk all things Hokie wrestling with Coach Tony Roby and staff. Now, let's join your host, Hall of Fame wrestling writer and broadcaster, Jason Bryant.
Another episode of Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling, episode 92. Today we're talking with assistant coach Jared Frayer. We got a big event on the docket coming up in terms of the goal and the road to Tokyo 2020. That is the U.S. Senior Nationals, otherwise known as the U.S. Open a lot of other years, but this is the Olympic qualifier in Fort Worth, Texas, December 21st, 22nd. We'll be talking about Mekhi Lewis and Ty Walls going down there to compete for the Hokies. But before we get to the international world of things, we got a couple of results to talk about. We got a duel coming up with Chattanooga. First of all, Mr. Frayer, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. It's a beautiful day in Blacksburg, a little warmer than sounds like it is in Minnesota, but life is good. Good to be back.
Yeah, again, the December and January temperatures up here are not enjoyable. Right now, it is 7. That is because you follow me on Twitter, you know you get those daily updates. But yeah, not to scare anybody off, Minnesota's going to be fine in March. It's going to be fine, folks. We're going to see a lot of Hokie Nation orange out here, so we're good with that, right?
No doubt, yeah. And I believe last year in Pittsburgh, it was actually colder in Pittsburgh than it was in Minneapolis. So I'm gonna hope that trend keeps going, and we'll be a balmy day in the third week of March.
It absolutely was in Cleveland as well.
Good to know.
Yeah. So anyway, before we get to our discussion about international wrestling for the road to the Olympic trials, Cliff Keen Wrestling Las Vegas Invitational. The Hokies finished 12th. Did not bring David McFadden. Did not bring BC LaPrade. But overall, 4 Hokies placed, led by Hunter Boland's third place finish. 184-pound split with Taylor Lujan from Northern Iowa. And first of all, let's just get your overall feelings on how the team performed. 12th is probably not what you expect out of a team that's ranked 6th in the dual meet, 6th, 7th in the dual meet rankings, 5th, depending on whichever poll you read. But interesting outcomes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we are going to the especially a tournament like the CKLV. It was as much of a meat grinder as it's ever been. Just the talent level, and then there really they dropped 12 teams, and those 12 teams were a little had a little fluff in them. So we definitely got the meat and potatoes of what it used to be, and which made a much more streamlined tournament. And it was we know what our expectations are for our guys, and from the outside looking in, our dual meet ranking looks great on paper, but we're just trying to improve at each weight class and get better, and I think as a whole at the tournament we did that. Some of our younger guys got some big wins, guys like John Borst and even Stan Smeltzer, and then seeing Joey Prada's progress throughout the year. We got some great wins, and Hunter Boland, the sky's the limit for a guy like him. We have high expectations. He has high expectations for himself, and he proved it a little bit. I think he had a little slip up in the quarters with Lujan, but came back and got that win in the end, and which is great. We see NC State enough as it is, so not having to wrestle Hidley one extra time was okay with us, and obviously it'd be a little bit nicer to be in the finals, but third place, great tournament for him. He's seeing some definite results from all his work he put in his redshirt year. And excited for the group of guys we have and the gains that we're making across the board.
You talk about Joey Prada, finished 4th at 125, had the win over Portillo from Nebraska Kearney, a solid Division II wrestler, but then beats Patrick McKee, beats Malik Heinzelman again, beats Alex Mackel. These are 3 national quality wins. These are matches you're going to see in the first round. You're going to see him in the blood round. How much do you attribute his progression to in the room the last couple weeks?
No doubt. Just being able to knock off the rust after 2 season-ending injuries right in a row. You're starting to see where he was a prep national champion and had a great high school career. Obviously smaller than most at 106 and 113, but now you're starting to see him grow into a into a natural 125 and knocked the rust off of 2 years where he didn't get to compete, only but one time, literally one match, and he was out for the entire season, with Tommy John surgery and a completely blown out knee. So seeing him come back, and I mean, it just goes to his dedication and discipline throughout the summer, and then he's really put in a bunch of time with Coach Brewer and the younger guys on the team, and really making himself a leader. So we're gonna see some good matches for him. He's got a ranked guy at Chattanooga, and then a ranked guy at Central Michigan, a highly ranked guy at Central Michigan, and he's setting his sights high, and we are fired up for Joey Prada.
John Bortz finished 7th at 285. Both losses coming to guys from the state of Iowa. Carter Isley from UNI, Gannon Grimmel from Iowa State. Did have a win over Andrews from Wyoming. It's a solid win here. So, again, as John gets accustomed to being the guy, not just a guy that's moving up to heavyweight and then somebody else is coming in, to being the guy, what is the mental stuff that he's got to go through to make sure, okay, yeah, you're not, barring a, cataclysmic failure of sorts, you're not going to lose the spot. What's it got to be for Bortz to pick up wins over guys like Grimmel and Isley and make that jump?
Right. I mean, you're exactly right. It's a mental jump. It's him having the confidence to go toe to toe with these guys and find wins against these higher ranked guys, because we see him wrestle in the room and go toe to toe with guys like Jared Hott and Ty Walls. He just needs to continue to build on that confidence with the bigger guys. He's okay when he goes toe to toe with a 230-pound guy, but it's the bigger ones. It's the 240, 250, 260 guys that he has to be able to have that confidence to go under those guys and take them down, put them down, and not kind of shy away from the hand fight. He's doing a great job. He is the guy. We always knew that we needed, kind of his first 2 years, we needed someone to push him, to make him the best he could possibly be. He tends to get comfortable, and now knowing that he's the guy and just chipping away at those rankings, we're going to see some serious improvement here in the next couple months as he gets to wrestle some of the bigger guys and higher ranked guys in the country. So fired up for John. He's putting in the work, and now he's starting to see some dividends and just continue to gain that confidence.
Mitch Moore, 8th at 141, losses to Dom Demas, Ian Parker, and Tariq Wilson. So, again, just like we mentioned with Joey Prada, picking up wins over guys that were first, second round type of opponents, blood round type of opponents. Mitch Moore losing those bouts close. And, you got two All-Americans there, Tariq and Demas. So, where is he? He's a guy that can beat anybody, but he's also still got to make sure he's a little bit more consistent with some of those losses too, right?
100%. That consistency in his leg attacks, and not just taking some singles and doubles when they are made available, and not just going for the home run, because he's a heck of a home run hitter. But we got to be able to get on base against the best guys, and that's he's got the talent, he's got the technical side of it. Now he's just got to execute, and we have big goals for Mitch Moore, and he does as well. Now it's just being able to commit to some leg attacks and being a little more stingy on his feet, because he's right there. I mean, a guy like Tariq Wilson, who's an All-American, third in the country a couple of years ago, and a guy that is a top 5 guy. He's right there to beat a guy like that, and those are the matches, like you said, that he's got to win when it comes down to the round of 12, that type of stuff. So, like I said, across the board, we're fired up for these guys because they're seeing some results, and they understanding that they're right there. And as we all know, confidence is 99% of this game. You got to be able to know that you're going to win that match and not just kind of have a question in the back of your head. So seeing that a bunch from our guys, and we're just fired up that they're seeing some dividends.
Now, in terms of those who didn't compete, Dave McFadden, of course, that's a question a lot of people are having. Why no McFadden? Why no BC?
Well, Dave tweaked himself a little bit in our Navy Classic tournament. It was a grind of a day. It was awesome competition. He wrestled his butt off and put 5 matches together, where he tweaked himself a little bit in his last match out there. So and he's a big prep guy. He does everything right. He's a student of the game, and his discipline is on point. So if you take a week away from him, where he has to rehab and do some stuff where he's not on the mat, it kind of wears on him a little bit. So he wasn't ready mentally, and he's a fifth-year senior, so he's a veteran. He knows what he needs. We know what he needs, and it just wasn't in the cards for him to go out there. He's back to 100%, looking great. So we're fired up to get him back for Chattanooga, and then he's going to actually go out to Midlands after Christmas and try and get some of those wins that he may have not gotten at the CKLV back as well. With BC. He's a guy that he's a thoroughbred. We need to run him when he needs to, and there's some tournaments we need to hold him back. So nothing wrong with BC. He's ready to go for Chattanooga, ready to go for the second half of the season. Just need a little mental break, and he got that, and he looks great right now. He's firing on all cylinders, and we're excited to get him back in the lineup.
Now, speaking of Chattanooga, coming to Castle Coliseum on December 21st, that is a Saturday 7:30 start time. And Kyle Rochelle's a young coach there, wrestled at Wisconsin. Now, did you guys cross paths when you were at Wisconsin?
He was. I coached him his junior and senior year, so had some great memories with Kyle, and just a great kid from the South that is doing great, a great job at UTC.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I'm doing the math, because you were in coaching, you're out of coaching, you're at different spots, you're training different places. Like, was Frayer and Rochelle at the same spot at the same time? But anyway, as far as it relates to Chattanooga and Virginia Tech, it's been a healthy battle between the years between the two programs. And what's it mean from a program standpoint to get a close opponent there in another conference to give you a different look? Yeah,
no doubt. They came up to our Hokie Open, and then also coming back for the duel, and it's just something that. I think it's good for Southern wrestling, me being a Florida guy and, knowing a lot of the Georgia ties, Tennessee, I guess Kentucky's a little further north than the South, but I think Kyle refers to himself as a Southern guy. So, just good for wrestling. It's good for, we got all these ACC schools, stone's throw from us. It's nice to go out, get a SoCon opponent. I know they've had a darn tough schedule leading up to this, so we hope to not be too hospitable to them here in Castle, but just it's good to have those relationships, especially with Kyle, and he's trying to build a big time program, and you got to wrestle the big guns to do that. So fired up to have him in town, and we'll go back to him next year. So. It's usually a big duel for them to have us in Chattanooga. So we'll also send a couple guys to the Southern Scuffle. So great relationship there, and fired up to have them in town on Saturday night.
Now moving to the meat of the matter, as the other event going on that weekend down in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Fort Worth Convention Center, actually a part of the Stockyard Stampede, which is part of the Folkstall Tour of America. Got a youth event, and then pairing it with the Senior Nationals, which is a qualifying event for the U.S. Olympic Trials, which will take place in April at the Bryce Jordan Center in State College, Pennsylvania. Top 5 qualify. In case you're wondering about watching, it'll be live on Flow Wrestling December 21st, 22nd. So, as it relates to international wrestling, to educate those who are coming from the high school, college world into international wrestling, Coach Frayer, what is the importance of the U.S. Senior Nationals here for Mekhi Lewis and Ty Walls, who are going in representing the Southeast Regional Training Center?
Really, it's a like you said, it's a qualifying event. So it's it's the U.S. Open's a big deal. I still consider it the U.S. Open, which is kind of changed its name to a qualifying tournament, whatnot. But,
every other year, the name is different. I mean, it's like U.S. Senior Nationals. It's the Open. Now it's rebranded as the U.S. Open, and now it's back to the Open. I don't know. It's the name. What's in a name anyway?
Right. And for these guys, it's all about placing in the top 5, and that's kind of the barometers to get them qualified, and then really look to peak in the first weekend in April up at Penn State. So for a guy like Mekhi, it's really just continuing to gain that experience, gain that confidence. I think he understands after wrestling at the Bill Farrell and his first international senior event out in Yakutsk earlier this year, Russia. He sees that he's right there. So it's time to cash in his chips and start winning these tournaments, because he understands this year's about experience, about getting better at freestyle wrestling, and then come the first week of April, be ready to peak and shock the world. So, and then for a guy like Ty Walls, it's about him not only just qualifying but winning this tournament. I mean, he's been right there the last couple tournaments, and it's time for him to start winning these big matches. So he's fired up. We've worked on a lot of different positions where he was a little lacking in his kind of the Bill Farrell tournament. So he'll see a lot of those same guys. And they're both going in to win this tournament. It's not just about qualifying because they have the confidence and they've wrestled each of the guys at their weight class. And I think Ty in the pre-seed is a 3 seed, and the pre-seed at Makai's weight is the 2 seed. So they're both right there, and it's time to, like I said, cash in the chips and get their hand raised.
Yeah, speaking of 74, here are the top 11 seeds as released by USA Wrestling on that'll be December the 17th. Nazar Kolchitsky, Makai Lewis, Tommy Gant, Dan Valamont, Chance Marsteller, Alec Pantelio, Muhammad McBride, Tyler Berger, Anthony Valencia, Evan Wick, Dylan Ness. So that's pretty loaded. And in case you're wondering who Nazar Kolchitsky is, he's been on the scene here for a bit. Ukrainian native, wrestled Division III at Wisconsin Oshkosh, dynamic skill set, natural freestyler. This guy he's been given James Green fits over the years, but a solid number one. Now you can't really look forward to that because Makai's got Tommy Gantz looming at the 3, Pantelio looming at the 6 down there as well. McBride, he's had a really solid last 2 years in the offseason from the Buffalo Wrestling Club. So as far as Makai navigating this bracket, there are some definite landmines here, even as a number 2 seed.
Right, and then you never know who's gonna. I think the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club kind of, you never know. You can't until the tournament starts. You never know who's going to show up. So you could see a null for a Chinzo, which could change the seeds a little bit as the final seeding meeting is going to be Friday night. But if they stay the same way, if the seeds stay the way that they're at right now, I like where he's at. He's wrestled a lot of those guys, and he understands what it's going to take to beat those guys, whether it's in folk style with a guy like Wick and Moss and that type of stuff. But and then they've seen Gant and Nazar and freestyle as well. So he's fired up. He gets up for these. He needs competition in his life to kind of set his sights on. So he's wrestling as well as he's ever wrestled, and I'm just excited for him to go out there and show what he's made of.
Pre-seeds at 97, Kyvan Gadsden 1, Hayden Zilmer 2, Ty Walls is 3, Colin Moore, followed by Derek White, Kevin Beasley, Timmy McCall, Scotty Boykin. So, kind of not as a deep weight there. You got some names people recognize, but again, you said it's time for Ty to win these bouts. And, with Kyvan Gadsden, he's been close, hasn't quite, been consistently getting the W there. Zilmer is an incredibly tough guy to wrestle just based on his length and his different look he gives you because he was a national teamer in both freestyle and Greco-Roman not that long ago. So, again, you talk about Ty needing the time for him to win these tournaments. There's some tough guys in this field as well. What's he got to do it?
No doubt. He definitely has to, almost get back to the way he was in college. What made him great was his gas tank, was his energy level, constantly attacking these guys. And I think, maybe in the first 2 years, and granted, I mean, he's placed at every international tournament he's wrestled at, and all over the world. So he's been extremely successful these first 2 years on the senior level. So, not taking anything away from him, but against these guys that, the Zilmers and the Gadsons, he's got to get back to, constantly attacking and wearing these guys down, using his power. I mean, he's a 250-pound, power lifter and a 213-pound body. So, got to use his hands a little more and execute and get some takedowns and wear these guys down and get to work instead of just kind of hanging out and worrying about his technical game. He's a brawler. He's a Cleveland guy, street brawler. That's what he's almost got to get back to. And I think he's fired up and ready to do that. He's looked great the last couple weeks. He's gone out to Michigan to train at the OTC a couple times, and he's fired up to get his first open title.
Now, I'm curious about the coaching perspective here because you as an athlete went through trials processes as a college athlete, and of course, as your post-college career, you went through the trials process, making the team in 2012. So from a coaching standpoint, what do you draw on your experiences from when you were at Oklahoma going through a world team trials or an Olympic trials process that you're going to try to implement with Makai? Maybe something that you did right or wrong that you feel is important for his training and his preparation during his redshirt year here?
For him, it's really just, and Ty Walls does an excellent job of this. It's really just controlling controlling the things that you can control. Whether it comes to your weight cut, whether it comes to your diet. When we go to these tournaments, making sure that everything is perfect. You have the right sweats, you have the proper warm up, all the little things, the right nutrition going through your body, the cool downs, the whole 9 yards, everything that goes into being a professional athlete, just going out there and being a pro. And and that's the thing with Mackay. He's accomplished so many things, and he's still just he's an amateur. When it comes to the other parts of the sport. So once he really buys in and becomes the pro, there's not going to be many people that can stay with him. He's just an amazing athlete. His pride level is at a whole nother level. He doesn't want to give up one takedown. I think you've seen that time and time again, where he is dead to right and finds a way not to give up the takedown. He's a winner and will compete with anybody in anything, and usually gets his hand raised no matter what the sport or activity it is. So doing the little things outside of the arena is what's going to make him world class. I mean, literally, GOAT worthy type athlete. So just getting him to buy in those situations, and he's making small adjustments each and every day, each and every week, and pretty soon it's going to be a part of his lifestyle.
Now, from your perspective as an athlete, what was the hardest thing for you as a college athlete going through this process?
Well, as a college athlete, it was definitely, in college I qualified for the trials just really through placing in NCAAs or taking top 7 or 8 at the U.S. Open. So as a college athlete, I wasn't. I was wrestling all the freestyle tournaments. That's all I really knew is freestyle wrestling, and I knew that my best wrestling was ahead of me as a college athlete. So, I mean, he's light years ahead of me where he is as far as where he is on the scene. I mean, I was probably a top 8 guy in college just because I was a big freestyle guy growing up. But he's top 3 or 4 in the country right now, and in 4 months, there's no telling where he's going to be. So, he's doing a great job. Same with Ty Walls. I mean, these guys are, doing everything it takes to get their hand raised in the end.
Now, as a post-collegian, this is where, again, you had your success, and things that Ty needs to work on that you discovered from your post-collegiate training situations. How have you been able to kind of help him go, okay, here's what I did in college. Well, now here's what I've learned as an adult, as for lack of a term, as a grown man, here's where I learned how to train differently. I mean, how are you coaching these guys differently? Because they are in 2 different places in their lives, granted, even though they're in the same wrestling room. Right.
And this last year was a big step for Ty, just because he's almost trying to grow up too fast. He was on our staff. We had 2 great years with him on staff. And he bleeds maroon and orange. He is a Hokie through and through, and was giving almost too much back to us rather than really focusing on himself. He's a 24-year-old guy that has years and years of competition still in the treads. So being able for him to take that step back and become an RTC athlete. I mean, this type of stuff was nowhere near where it is now when I was competing. I mean, I had to be on staff to make a living, just to put food on the table. So to be able to just concentrate on himself, take that role and just be able to compete and travel. And 2 weeks ago he was with one of the best wrestlers of all time, Sergey Belgazov, learning from him, and then obviously able to get out to the OTC. That was a huge step. He's still all about Virginia Tech wrestling, and when he's here, he's trying to help guys. But you can definitely tell that he's taken some time to really focus on himself, be more selfish, and that's really the name of the game, is him being able to focus on himself and really get the most out of this is his prime of his life, being able to continue to learn, but also not trying to get away from what made him great. And that's almost what he's coming full circle now, realizing that what made him great in college wrestling is really attacking, not waiting, biding his time. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for what the future has in store for him. And, he'll always be a part of this family, and we'll always have a spot on staff for him. So be using this time wisely and becoming the best international freestyle wrestler that he can possibly be.
Now, going back to your experiences, because this is something we haven't really discussed a whole lot because we're coming into an Olympic year. You qualified for the trials, numerous times, but in 2012, you qualified through winning Sunkiss, which is a tournament that doesn't really exist anymore. But explain the run-up for you, your preparation back in 2012. I mean, there was you beat Brent Metcalf in Carver Hawkeye to make the team in 2012. Actually, I just hung up these posters on my wall. You're actually Frayer, you're on my wall right now. So
all right.
So I got you up here with my Olympic team from 2012. Also got Sam DeHaze up there as well. But in that run-up, I mean, what was your preparation like in 2012? I mean, explain that to Hokie Nation, because I am curious as well.
Yeah, I had been. We talked about it earlier before we started taping the show. I was a bridesmaid a lot of times. In 2006, I was second to Bill Zadek. He went on to win the world title. 2007, I was second again. 2008, I kind of focused a little too much on wrestling and not. I think I get in trouble there where I. If I focus too much on one thing, I get obsessed and I don't do my best work doesn't come out. So, got back into coaching in 2009, retired from wrestling. And, just really in January, Tom Brands was like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're beating up on all these guys. I had Schwab, I had Metcalf, but I was just the weight coach. So I was, just living the dream, teaching these guys or helping these guys throw weights around. So I started wrestling again in January, was second again 2009 to Trent Paulson. 2010, I finally won the U.S. Open, my first year coaching at Wisconsin, and lost in the finals to Brent Metcalf. And after that, I needed a break. I lost 2 trials in a row in the finals to breaking my lock on a clinch or rolling start on the clinch, or it was too much.
Those rules suck so bad. They were so bad.
So bad. So I needed a break. So I officially said I'm done with wrestling. And I knew in the back of my head I needed a break, and I knew I was going to come back for the Olympic year. So it was all about qualifying, buying my time, maybe wrestling one more tournament, because I was coaching. I was the head assistant in Oklahoma. And I knew I just needed to qualify. So I went to Sunkiss, got that out of the way, qualified, wrestled one tournament in Cuba just to kind of get myself ready. I took second, lost to the world champ in the finals in Cuba, and I knew I was ready. So I ran through the NCAA season. I think we finished 9th or 10th. I think the NCAAs were in Oklahoma City that year. And then I decided, I qualified, so I think I was the 5th or 6th seed. And, it was, had a good run. I wrestled, who did I wrestle first round? I wrestled Joe Johnston, the head assistant at Air Force. Then I had, Dustin Schlater. Dustin Schlater was probably by far my toughest match. He's just a stingy son of a gun that, NCAA champion. He was a world team member earlier in that quad at 74 kilos. And then I had the number 1 seed, Tion Ware, and Tion and I go way, way back. And there's a little bit of big brother there a little bit. I coached him as a freshman when he won his first NCAA title. And, I think, for some reason it was just, whether it was mental, because he is an unbelievable wrestler, and was able to control that match and win in the semis, and then Brent Metcalf in the finals. So we all know how that happened, how that ended. And just very blessed. I knew I had never been more confident in my life entering the 2012 Olympic trials, and hope I can get these two, Ty and Makai, to see that same type of confidence in their wrestling.
And getting that feeling, that's something that, that's not too many athletes get that opportunity. So, I mean, how do you try to express that to an athlete like Ty or Makai going, it's a feeling when you make that team. I mean, I guess it's indescribable because I've only watched it. I haven't experienced it. So what's it like to try to share that experience with your athletes?
Yeah, man, it was a lifelong dream, something that I strove for and was close a bunch of times, and just to have it come full circle and make that team, it was and I try to describe it a little bit differently to those guys, just because I don't want them to have to go through. I was 34 when I made the team. I don't. These guys are 20 years old and 24, so I don't want them to have to wait another decade to make that team. So, just really the experience and being able to use my experience of those 10 or 12 years on the senior level, and the little things. I remember the way I would cut my weight, just getting things to where it's a science, and you're a pro and you know exactly how much weight you're going to lose. You know what you're going to put back in your body. You know the type of warm-ups you're going to do every single time. The things to visualize, just the little things, coming in here late at night and doing stance and motion and that type of stuff, where you're just visualizing this stuff and seeing yourself, in Bryce Jordan, making that team and the confetti falling down, and the little things like that is what I try and convey to these guys. And you hope that they take it and chew on it. But I'm going to continue to keep talking about it and telling them about it, and until they really buy in and are ready to see that themselves. So it's pretty unique situation, special for these guys, and man, I'm fired up for them to go out there and put the ground, or put their feet to the pavement.
Yeah, it'd be cool to put some Hokies on this wall here too, because I've got some Olympic gear that I've accumulated over the years. And as I look over, actually, Fredo, I got you and Hayes on the wall, so I got 2 Sooners over there. But also, I got a Dan Hodge on the wall here too. So I mean, there's more there's more OU in here than there is, I think, any other school. That's strange.
Yeah, and that was special too. I mean, being in Oklahoma, and me and Hayes were the only guys that were training there. And for us to both make the team that year, it just goes to show you don't need, $1 million in the bank and 10 guys wrestling in your RTC. It's all about the quality, and I think we have that, and we'll continue to build on that with a guy like McFadden graduating, and you never know with Coach Brewer and Coach Hott what they're willing to throw out there in the coming years. So SCRTC is doing great, and we're excited. We don't, like I said, we don't need 10 guys training. We need 2 or 3 that are ready to make some teams.
Big weekend for Hokie Wrestling in the Southeast Regional Training Center against UTC at Castle, 7:30 on the 21st. That's a Saturday, and 21st, 22nd live on Flow, or if you're in the neighborhood in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Fort Worth Convention Center to the U.S. Senior Nationals qualifier for the U.S. Olympic Trial. So, Coach Frayer, you guys are jetting out here on Thursday. Any final words for Hokie Nation as you prep for the freestylers and the rest of the squad for Chattanooga?
No, just get your butt in the castle seats Saturday night, because the school is out, and we need some people yelling at the Hokies. So fired up to get to Dallas, and man, that's kind of like my old stomping grounds. I love me some Dallas Fort Worth, and get some good barbecue and some Mexican food, and life will be good. Get 2 guys qualified for the Olympic trials.
Sign me up. So for Jared Frayer, this is Jason Bryant. You've been listening to episode 92 of Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling. Hokie fans, listen to Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling anywhere you go by subscribing on Apple Podcasts. Go to InsideVirginiaTechWrestling.com/iTunes, or you can get the exclusive Android or iOS apps by going to InsideVirginiaTechWrestling.com.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.